A new friend in Europe? Senior Estonian MP Marko Mihkelson says he'd welcome Taiwan opening an office in Tallinn. Taiwan's leisure industry hopes for the return of Chinese tourists. The death toll rises from a devastating wildfire in Hawaii. Plus, why is Elon Musk being sued in Taiwan? Here's a hint. It's about drugs. Hello and welcome to TaiwanPlus News. I'm Eric Gao. The head of Estonia's Foreign Affairs Committee says he'd welcome Taiwan setting up a representative office in his country's capital, Tallinn. Marko Mihkelson is in Taipei as part of a delegation from the Baltic states. He spoke to TaiwanPlus reporter Stash Butler.
You're here with the Foreign Affairs Committee heads of Latvia and Lithuania. Both of those countries have representative offices that manage ties with Taiwan. Latvia has the Taipei mission and Lithuania has the Taiwanese representative office, but Estonia doesn't have anything. Why not?
I would definitely would like to see Taipei's office to be opened in Tallinn as well, as it has been open in almost every EU member state. We have here in Taipei 16 representatives from different EU member states, including also EU Commission's representatives. And I think that this is certainly the area for us, as well as a small economy, to consider seriously. Maybe we should also open here our trade representative office. Our mutual trade currently between Estonia and Taiwan is around 100 million euros, which is for our size not that bad. And definitely there is a kind of potential to grow.
How worried are you about what China will do, given what happened with Lithuania, which lost 80% of its trade with China? Now, Estonia does about 1.4 billion euros worth of trade with China. Did that last year. Are you worried about putting that at risk?
Worry about what? When, again, you have to understand what kind of those technicalities are there. If we are going to move ahead with, let's say, then if Taipei has an interest to open Taipei's office in Estonia, then this is the matter of discussion, obviously back in Tallinn as well, but obviously a small democracy or democracies like Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, for us is vital to defend the rule-based world order. And in that regard, obviously, closer cooperation between democratic societies is absolutely the must.
That was Estonian lawmaker Marko Mihkelson speaking with Stash Butler in Taipei. China has announced that it will reopen group tourism to over 70 countries, but Taiwan wasn't on that list. Ed Moon takes a look at how a lack of Chinese tourism is impacting local businesses.
Yongkang Street is one of Taipei's busiest areas. It's filled with some of the capital's most popular restaurants, tea houses and souvenir shops. But it's not as busy as it once was. Before the COVID pandemic in 2019, these streets often saw people queuing out the doors of the most popular shops. But there's one big difference between then and now. No Chinese tourists. Both Beijing and Taipei stopped allowing Chinese tourists to visit Taiwan once the pandemic broke out.
曾经破纪录来我们这个永康商圈消费，他买那个文创品文创的东西，一个人一笔超过台币30万了。我们也很希望就是有中国大陆这边的观光客进来我们永康商圈。
In 2019, over 11 million tourists visited Taiwan, and among them, the largest number were from China at 2.7 million. Now, in the first 4 months of this year, with no Chinese tourists, there have been less than 2 million visitors. China has now announced it will allow group tours to resume to more than 70 countries, including Japan, the US and UK. But Taiwan wasn't on the list. Officials in Taipei say Beijing hasn't responded to calls to reopen tourism between the two sides.
我们并没有禁止我们的 国人到用自由行的方式到中国大陆，中共那边到目前为止一直不肯开放团客也好，自由行，主管机关已经透过管道跟他们谈到我们相互的来开放，但是现在就说对方还没有正面的来回应我们，这是我们比较遗憾的。
With Taiwan set to go to the polls in January to choose its next president, Chinese tourists, or the lack of them, could become an issue at the ballot box too. For now, those who rely on a thriving tourism industry can only wait and hope that politics won't get in the way. Devon Tai and Ed Moon for TaiwanPlus.
With less than 5 months to go until Taiwan's presidential elections, the country's future, especially its relationships with China and the U.S., are at stake. But with 3 candidates competing for the top job, what can we expect from the winner? Well, to answer this, Jaime Ocon spoke to security analyst Claire Zhao in Washington, D.C.
If the Democratic Progressive Party, the DPP, does secure another victory, what can we expect in terms of Taiwan and U.S. cooperation?
Well, if the DPP wins again, we can expect continued economic and security cooperation between Taiwan and the U.S., whether in trade, investment, technological collaborations, or arms sales to improve Taiwan's self-defense capabilities. Lai Ching-te will also most likely to continue to follow the path that the Tsai administration has taken regarding Taiwan's relationship with the U.S., which is to seek greater engagement. But at the same time, even though he has said and try to reassure the public, including the U.S., that he will not seek to pursue independence and will maintain the status quo if elected, the U.S. will still likely to keep an eye out on Lai Ching-te and make sure that he does not pursue any policies that threaten U.S. interests in peace and stability in the Taiwan Strait, which, if he does, could potentially put a strain on U.S.-Taiwan relations.
If the opposition Kuomintang or KMT gets a win, what does this mean for cross-strait relations?
Well, if Hoyoyi wins, the CCP may be a bit more relieved than a TPP win, but it won't necessarily lead to easing of cross-strait tensions or a period of peace and stability. This is because the CCP will still be cautious when interacting with the KMT, especially if Hoyoyi continues to engage heavily with the US, which in that case will likely cause some degree of distrust between the KMT and the CCP. So it will largely depend on how Hoyoyi balances the interest of the Taiwan population while also trying to stay on good terms with both the US and China, which is a very challenging task given the environment that we're in.
Taiwan has never had a third-party win, so what can we expect from a Ko-Wen-je or a TPP win for U.S. and for Chinese relationships?
Well, if the Taiwan People's Party wins, first domestically, we can sense how frustrated the Taiwan population is with these two major parties. But the TPP, it brings a more neutral stance on cross-strait relations, which is more preferred by the U.S. because they don't want a party that seeks two pro-independence policies, but also they don't want a party that kind of maintains close ties with China. And Ko-Wen-je has openly advocated for both deterrence and dialogue with China, which I do believe that is what the U.S. likely would want to see, both dialogue, but at the same time, they don't want to be that close to the CCP. So we could expect some form of cross-strait dialogue under Ko-Wen-je that wasn't available during the Tsai administration. And this would be possible, actually, under his leadership because he previously engaged in dialoguing and exchanges with Chinese local governments while during his tenure as Taipei's mayor.
That was security analyst Claire Zhao speaking with Jaime Ocon. In international news, officials from China and Singapore are working to speed the resumption of direct flights between the two nations. China's foreign ministry says representatives from the two countries met earlier this week to work out a plan. Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi said the move is part of efforts to boost cooperation on trade, tourism, and cultural exchanges. Meanwhile, U.S. President Joe Biden has called China a ticking time bomb. This was in reference to the poor growth levels and economic challenges China's facing. Biden made those comments at a fundraiser in Utah on Thursday. He also said that, quote, when bad folks have problems, they do bad things. China's consumer sector fell into deflation in July. Some economists say the country could be entering a period of stagnant growth. Biden's statement also came just days after he issued an executive order targeting U.S. investment in Chinese tech. A regional bloc of West African countries is activating a standby force following the military coup in Niger. The bloc says that it was left with little choice after the junta refused to reinstate Niger's president, Mohamed Bazoum. The junta seized power in a coup in July, and they're holding Bazoum hostage. They've threatened to kill him if other countries intervene. Several nations have evacuated their citizens from Niger, and on Thursday, Taiwan's foreign ministry said 2 Taiwanese nationals are preparing to leave. The death toll in Hawaii has now risen to at least 55 people, with over 11,000 displaced after wildfires spread across the island of Maui. Officials say it is likely the worst natural disaster in the state's history. Mackerel Hughes reports.
This was a home. There's their car.
A home destroyed. It's just one of thousands that have been laid waste on Maui. Wildfires started on the Hawaiian island on Tuesday. A combination of strong winds from a nearby hurricane, an invasive plant species, and hot temperatures caused the blaze to spread rapidly. In just a few days, the damage has been catastrophic.
See firsthand the impact on Lahaina, and Lahaina town was just so shocking and devastating. It looked as if it's just the whole town was devastated, the whole town was decimated.
Thousands of people are left without shelter in Lahaina, a resort town on the west of the island. The blaze spread at an alarming rate, so quickly that people were forced to flee into the ocean.
This ocean almost swept my kids away a few times, but yeah, we stuck together, we held on. We're not going to die this way, no. And we're here, we're alive.
The death toll is expected to rise as first responders search for survivors. And the damage has left the once vibrant town unrecognizable.
It's going to take years for fix. Years. This is not even the worst of it. Still get dead bodies in the water, floating, and on the seawall, trying to save people's lives. And I feel like we're not getting the help we need.
Rescue workers have reportedly contained most of the flames, which has brought about 80% of the wildfires under control. Global messages of condolence and support have flooded in, including from Taiwan, which has offered humanitarian assistance. And U.S. President Joe Biden announced the release of emergency federal aid to help first responders and survivors. In the spirit of the Hawaiian term ohana, which means family, other communities in Hawaii are preparing to receive survivors and offer aid. Devin Tsai and Mackerel Hughes for TaiwanPlus.
Russia has launched a spacecraft to the moon. It's racing against India to become the first country to land a craft on the lunar South Pole. The Luna 25 lander mission began on Friday morning with a rocket launch from Russia's Far East. It's predicted to reach the moon's surface in just 10 days. That should put it just ahead of India's Chandrayaan-3 lander, which launched last month. Scientists say craters on the moon's poles could hold billions of tons of frozen water, which would be vital for future moon bases. Coming up after the break, why surveillance cameras are coming to classrooms in northern Taiwan kindergartens. Stay tuned.
Hi, I'm Zheng Guowei. I'm a science communicator. This is the Taiwan Keywords. We will take you to venture into the island, visit key people and cutting-edge technology, and introduce unique phenomena in Taiwan.
Taiwan Keyword, every Wednesday, 5:30 p.m. on TaiwanPlus.
I'm Joyson in Bangkok, Thailand, and you're watching TaiwanPlus News, a voice of freedom in Asia.
我75岁，现在还在创业中。
我是用生命在做事，然后要做的话，我就永不放弃。
我们想要成为世界的品牌，站在世界的舞台。
一定要新的才第一。
我们自己肯定自己的价值。
透过我们的文化创意，从台湾这个点画出去，
你是 MIT 的。
我是 Made in Taiwan.
Taiwanese Boss. Every Wednesday, 8:10 p.m. on TaiwanPlus.
For more stories from here in Manzu and around the world, download the TaiwanPlus app.
This month's top hits on TaiwanPlus. MasterChef runner-up Jason Wang will amaze you with his cultural twist on Taiwanese cuisine.
Classic traditional dish has inspired me in wonderful ways. It's amazing.
Jason's Table, masterful dishes.
Are you ready to be wild, Patty?
I am. This is beyond burger.
Join international guests in discovering the breathtaking wonders of Taiwan. Wow, Taiwan.
I'm Chi Fei Fan. We hope to bring you more stories from Taiwan.
Embark on a journey with veteran journalist Chi Fei Fan as she uncovers touching human tales. Our stories.
Military training should include both men and women.
The military will be burdened.
Watch Taiwan's top high school debaters engage in an exciting critical thinking showdown. Youth Speak Special, open to debate. Vibrant and original programs, exclusively on TaiwanPlus.
Welcome back. You're watching Taiwan Plus News. Elon Musk is being sued here in Taiwan under the Justice Ministry's new guidelines on cannabis use. Those say that anyone advocating that marijuana use is harmless can be punished. Bing Wang reports.
Cannabis lawyer Zoe Lee, also the chairperson of Taiwan's Green Party, is making a show of suing Elon Musk for advocating online that marijuana use isn't harmful. She's come to the district court to file her case. This comes after the ministry announced that advocating marijuana use online, including in art and music, is punishable by law. Marijuana is illegal in Taiwan and is considered a Category 2 narcotic, along with opium poppy, coca, and amphetamines. Possession of the drug could land someone in prison for up to 2 years. Lee says this case is a matter of free speech in Taiwan.
I've never heard about you cannot speak on any issues or topic in public or on internet, ever. Now, like Ministry of Justice saying, we're not allowed to promote legalization of cannabis.
Taiwan's courts don't have jurisdiction over Musk's actions, and cannabis activists expect the case to be dropped. The Justice Ministry's new policy has faced much criticism from cannabis activists. They see it as a roadblock in a campaign to legalize marijuana in the country. Activists like Zoe Lee have been working overtime to spread awareness of these issues, and they hope a broader public debate will ultimately swing things in their favor. Justin Wu and Bing Wang in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan health authorities suspect an outbreak of dengue fever is spreading to the country's north. John Van Trieste has more.
Taiwan's worst outbreak of dengue fever since 2015 appears to be spreading. Until now, cases have been overwhelmingly in the south. But the Centers for Disease Control is treating 2 cases in the north, one in Taipei and the other in the city of Hsinchu, as local infections. The total number now stands at above 1,200. In Taipei, where one of the new cases was reported, sanitation workers are busy spraying for mosquitoes, the carriers of the disease. They're also clearing away standing water where mosquitoes generally breed.
这个患者这个100公尺以内的地方这个我们就持续的来做一个这个容器这个看一些环境的这个清除。
Not everyone agrees that the cases really are local in origin. Both patients had recently been to the southern city of Tainan, the center of the outbreak, where over 1,000 have fallen ill.
主要工作还是在新竹市，所以疾病管制署那边判定是属于新竹市的个案。不过我们就他的那个病史来讲的话，我们推测感染应该还是在台南市。
Still, local officials are being careful, as dengue can be dangerous. A patient with other medical conditions died Wednesday in the southern county of Pingdong. With recent typhoons and the summer monsoon, there's standing water all over the country in need of clearing away.
近期持续有降雨的情形，呼吁民众雨后应立即进行我们住家内外环境的整顿与滋生源清除，落实巡倒清刷。
Mosquito eggs can survive for a year and only need 0.5 milliliters of water to do so, making even a small amount of standing water a potential breeding ground with its own dangers. James Lin and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
Budget airline Tiger Air has confirmed that one of its co-pilots fainted on Monday after landing a flight from Japan to Taiwan. That plane landed safely and without delay at Tallinn International Airport. The captain issued the emergency code PAN-PAN for his colleague while taxiing. That distress signal is just 1 degree below Mayday in severity. The co-pilot was taken to the hospital and was discharged that same day. The flight had 168 people on board, including 6 crew members. Tiger Air says it will help Taiwan's Transportation Safety Board investigate the incident. A key suspect in a major money laundering operation was brought back to Taiwan on Thursday after being arrested in Thailand last month. Guo Ziming was accused of laundering around $85 billion in foreign currency. Prosecutors say he used an online gambling venture as a front. They say this could have netted him and his partners at least $3 million in exchange fees. Guo fled to Singapore last year and had been hiding from Taiwanese authorities in Southeast Asia. They were alerted to his whereabouts after a Cambodian passport that he used to travel between Malaysia and Thailand was flagged. He was arrested by Thai police in late July. As Taiwan's population continues to age rapidly, the government has been trying to convince more people to keep working into old age. But some of those senior employees are protesting these moves, saying the current policies aren't working. These senior workers are calling for a change. They say a government plan to keep older people in the office isn't going as intended, with some employers even forcing them to take pay cuts. Taiwan's population is aging rapidly, which also means that its workforce is shrinking. A few years ago, the government introduced programs to encourage companies to hire more retirees, both to boost worker numbers and to keep seniors active and earning money. But labor groups say there are too many restrictions on those policies, especially when it comes to deadlines for subsidy applications. Currently, they have to be submitted just a few months before workers turn 65.
不要只限制64岁，而是我可能65岁的时候也可以来做申请，那这样才能够实际帮助到说我真的是中高龄或是高龄的劳工，他在继续投入劳动市场。
Labor officials received the protesters' demands and said they'll take some into consideration.
有关年龄的部分，还有就是有关于申请期间的部分，我们都会把它作为未来我们在政策修改的一个研议去做参考。
But regarding pay disputes and other issues, the ministry is waiting to see how talks with employers work out before they take any further action. Taipei and New Taipei both plan to put surveillance cameras in public kindergarten classrooms. That's after a scare in May when parents feared that some kindergarten teachers were drugging children. John Van Trieste has the story.
Kindergarten classrooms like this one could soon have a camera in the corner. Only around a third of Taipei's public kindergarten classrooms are under surveillance now, but a recent scare might have sped up the adoption of security cameras in schools. In May, parents began to suspect that teachers at 2 local kindergartens were drugging children in their care with sedatives. The scare went all the way to the top, with Taiwan's presidential candidates weighing in. It turned out to be unfounded. None of the children tested positive for drugs, and the accused teachers were cleared of any wrongdoing. But some officials still want to avoid any similar incidents from happening in the future. On Thursday, Taipei's Education Department announced a 4-year plan to equip over 100 public kindergartens with surveillance cameras. It's setting aside around $6 million to get the job done. Meanwhile, New Taipei has announced a camera program of its own. Some parents say they're in favor of the idea.
这样很好啊，就孩子比较有安全感。
While others have reservations.
到时候如果有问题可以有证据，我不知道会不会涉及老师的隐私。
Government and school officials both say it's as much about protecting teachers as it is about reassuring parents. They also say access to the footage will be carefully restricted.
可以帮助我们还原当时候的状况，细节是我们可以自己去拟定。那我们目前还正在制定中。
我们有一个调阅的新的规定，不是说谁都可以来调阅。
But whether the teachers themselves are prepared to have surveillance cameras in their classrooms is another matter, and is something that could receive a lot of pushback from Taiwan's educators. Joseph Wu and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
Spanish mackerel populations are on the decline. That fish is popular on menus around the world. Now, researchers in Taiwan may have the beginnings of a solution. Bryn Thomas dives in.
A successful catch and a scientific breakthrough. It's a world first. Researchers from Taiwan's Ministry of Agriculture have worked with fishers to artificially inseminate Spanish mackerel. It's a breakthrough toward being able to spawn this fish in captivity, and it may prove to be a sea change for the species. But researchers say the fish still require large open spaces to grow strong and healthy, and they need to have some personal space without being crowded by their neighbors.
大咬小，咬得很厉害。我们后来把它抓上来看，其实有些鱼来讲，它肚子是吃饱的，但是吃饱它还会去咬它的同伴。
In Taiwan's outlying Penghu Islands, the fish is referred to as white gold. However, overfishing and climate change are decimating their numbers. Fishers are reporting record low catches and prices have climbed to record highs. That's why many people who rely on the sea are happy to hear about any breakthrough.
我们渔民也希望有鱼可以抓。当他们慢慢有成绩出来之后，我们就会觉得很开心。
Despite causing a splash, researchers say the new insemination technique is just a stepping stone, and that for the moment, large-scale farming, unlike the fish, is off the table. John Su and Bryn Thomas for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching TaiwanPlus News. Remember to download the TaiwanPlus app for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally, check out these impressive images of an artist practicing the traditional Swiss art of paper cutting. I'm Eric Gao. Take care and see you next time.